So, one of the most popular questions or topics that people search for on YouTube is how to make a man miss you. All right. Now, if you've been following me or watching my previous videos, I'm not about really tips and tricks and game playing, right? I really want to always try to frame things in a very healthy manner, but I still want to provide you with the answers you're looking for and the insight that will help you get the results that you're trying to get. So, in regards to how to make a man miss you, I want to lay it out in a very healthy way on how that creates that energy in any relationship, right? However, let me say this: there's a very important, I'm gonna save it to the very end, point that it has to be made, that if you have this one thing, it pretty much takes care of all the rest. All right. With that said, let's move on to one of the big ways on how to make a man miss you is have a life outside of him. Okay. Now, I honestly feel that this is something that I think people should strive for regardless. Forget about whether we want somebody to miss us or not. I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy for you. I think it's healthy for the relationship or any potential relationship that you're going to be in, right? Where you can have a life that you've created for yourself that you can enjoy, that isn't just dependent on a partner, right? And in this life that we create our own happiness. We create our own peace to where a partner just becomes an addition to it, not the creator of it. Okay? Now, what's important though is as we create this life aside from your partner, that one, I this is not about keeping those worlds separate, because there's some people out there where they got a life, they got a life separate from their partner, but they keep those two worlds in two different places, and they're not allowed to collide, right, and cross each other's paths, and that can lead to some unhealthiness. Now, some people may argue differently, but the reason why it can lead to some unfortunate issues is because if there's a level of secrecy going on, when someone who truly cares about you doesn't really know about the world going on outside of them that you're involved in, it could leave the door open to insecurity creeping in, to lack of trust or broken trust keep creeping in. A lot of different things can happen. And for those of you who may be struggling or hesitant to accept that, just think about it on the flip side, meaning you meet a guy and you have a great relationship with him, but he has this whole world outside of you that he doesn't share with you. He doesn't let you in. Not that you guys have to be have a prominent role in that other world outside of you, but you should be able to come in and out of it anytime with no problem, because there's nothing's being hidden. There's nothing inappropriate going on. So that should be the case. So that's one, is not hiding it or anything like that. But then also not getting so attached to it that you can't leave it, or not necessarily leave it, but you can't make proper space for your relationship and for your partner. So essentially what I'm getting at is, some women, as you stand right now, let's say you're single and you're creating this world and you found happiness and joy. You're at a point where you're cool if you don't have a relationship, but if one comes with the right guy, you are all for it, and you would love it. But then you have these elements to where it doesn't allow you to create more space for your partner. And now it puts you in a position where you're trying to force people that you meet to completely fit into your world at your convenience, and not really in a position where you're compromising and finding a middle ground with them. All right. So it's important that, yes, have your life, have your world outside of your partner, but make sure it's very fluid in a way that, again, everything can coexist in harmony. That's the big thing. Also, the other reason why the whole having your own world will allow this man to miss you is because for the many relationships that I have seen where the man is the woman's world. He's everything to her. One, she develops a very unhealthy attachment to that relationship. She starts to become at times in situations very overbearing or too clingy. And the reason why I use the word too clingy is because I don't really believe in clinginess in the sense of when two people are really for each other, they love being around each other. They love spending tons of quality time with each other. So to me, what may be clingy to one person is perfect to somebody else. I say too clingy because if again that partner is your entire world, it can cross an unhealthy line. Okay. And start to cause a lot of different problems. As well as I remember having one client where she said she did not know how to enjoy life outside of her man. And anytime her man left the house, she's blowing his phone up because she doesn't even know how to sit in her own in her own silence and being alone and just chilling by herself. Like it was a problem for her. So we wouldn't want that to be the case. So all that considered, yes, you having that world, you being able to engage in other things can create moments, right, where your partner can miss you and crave you and desire you and want to see you because you're not just home doing nothing 24/7. And I don't want to make it sound like that because some people are. And again, that's why for some relationships, being at home 24/7 might work for your partner, right? So every relationship is different in that sense of what one will like and really value, but that does mean there'll be less opportunities to miss you. All right. So another great tip on how to make a man miss you is focus on creating enjoyable, peaceful moments with him. All right. So what I'm getting at is, listen, when we miss something because there's good that we gain from it. There's things that we enjoy about it. And it brings us elements that maybe we don't get anywhere else, right? So when we're away from it, we crave it, we miss it. But if our experiences with something are negative, well, why in the world would we miss it, right? So I have these scenarios where couples, or let's say I'm speaking to one person in the couple, let's say it's the woman, and she's like, well, he never wants to, I don't know why this is popping in my head right now, but he never wants to come home, right? This correlates to the whole missing thing. And it's like, okay, well, how has the home environment been, right? And it's not to make an excuse that it's okay for him not to be coming home or staying out late or anything like that. But before we address the act of him not coming home when she wants or as often or whatever case may be, the thing I want to understand is how has the home environment been? Now, when we start to discuss it, what I'm hearing is constant fighting, constant back and forth. They're not being as intimate with each other, all these different things. And it's like, okay, clearly that's why. Like, how can we expect someone to want to be drawn to you, to miss you, to desire you, to all these things when the moments you guys share are filled with so much negative energy? So and if you just focus on what I'll use the word complaining about it, right? And taking issue with it without getting to the root or solving the root problems, well, nothing will really be solved. Because even if you get that man to start behaving in the way that you want in this moment, it's going to end up right back if again the root issues aren't cured. So in that regard, the focus is, all right, how can we now get to a place of we're not fighting anymore, where it's peaceful, where we're enjoying each other? And so in one scenario, one client I was dealing with, I had her do that. So let's try. I want you to handle things this way and let's see what happens. And without her having to say things to him like, why don't you do this? Why don't you come by more often? Whatever the case may be, he started doing it naturally, because now there's more enjoyable experiences, and those enjoyable experiences incentivize him wanting to be closer to her and spend more time with her. Plain and simple. So when we're thinking about having someone miss you, focus on how do we make things enjoyable. Now, just with this couple, if there is conflict, that you guys are experiencing. Let's get to the root of it. Let's address it. And that's why it's always important to communicate and talk about things. And let's not just sweep it under the rug or kick the can down the road. Because what happens to many people, many couples, is that they move past an issue on the surface, but the negativity, the negative energy of that issue is still lingering because the issue was not properly resolved. It was not properly addressed. It wasn't fully released. All right. And even though they are interacting with each other, there's this underlying tension. It's not as peaceful. It doesn't feel the same way it used to feel. And remember, the impact you have on someone has a lot to do with how you make them feel. Okay. Now, again, I know some of you are hearing this and you might be thinking, well, he's not making me feel good. And of course, that needs to be addressed. And that's what talking about it will help do, or at least it will help you discover, can this be fixed with this individual? But I always say, if I'm speaking to you, I have to focus on the things that you can control and that you can do to make things better. And so it's all about creating those positive experiences. Now, in creating more positive, happy, peaceful moments and experiences, you've got to understand what provides that kind of experience for him. So again, there's a lot of misunderstandings going on in relationships where people are doing things that they think should be appreciated, that they think should be enjoyed, that they think is great, but to that guy, it's like, nah, and vice versa. And so, one example I'm gonna give real quick is that, let's say you love going out to dinner and going out and exploring and all these things, and nothing wrong with that. But let's say for him, constantly doing that, when especially if he's had a long week, he's worked hard, it can start to become draining, right? And if in his head it's like, well, if I go to her house to see her, she's gonna want to go out, she's gonna want to do this, he may start to consciously or subconsciously find excuses not to come over, right? Not because he doesn't want to be with you, but he doesn't want to get dragged into running all over the city and doing all these things, because that's what it always turns out to be. So, one, we can make the argument that you got to make sure you're aligning yourself with someone who enjoys the things that you enjoy, or that you guys can find the healthy balance of the things that he enjoys and the things that you enjoy. But it also includes you understanding what he values, what gives him peace and enjoyment, and that will allow you to optimize your experiences with him, and therefore it will cause him to desire and miss you so much more when he's not in your presence. All right, so let's keep this going. And another one, this next one is a tip that I see a lot of people give in regards to making a man miss you, but I think it's actually a huge mistake and very unhealthy, and I felt like I need to address it. So another big way that people tell you to make a man miss you is don't respond quickly to his texts or phone calls. Okay. Now, I understand the logic behind that. And I think in today's world, there's a lot of this maneuvering and game playing of who's going to text first and when should you respond and all these different things. Now, let me make something clear. If you genuinely, like, let's just say he texts you, um, you're busy doing something, and you generally are just not someone that wants to respond immediately. You'll get to it once you get everything else done. Like, that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the natural flow of your life, if you're not this quick responder in general, then I'm not going to tell you that you now have to all of a sudden turn into one because of this guy, right? That's different than when you are purposely doing it as some kind of, okay, let me make him wait, let me make him miss me. Here's the thing, not responding quickly to somebody doesn't really equate to making them miss you. If anything, it can equate to making them feel insecure about you. It can equate to making them feel annoyed about you. It can equate to a lot of other negative things rather than something healthy or good like him missing you. And it starts with you have to understand what is the communication style between you and this individual. Like, so what I mean by that is there are some people who they feel like if they text you, there's no reason why you can't respond within a couple hours, right? I'm different. I'm someone like if I text you and you don't respond for a few hours, I'm not sweating it. Like I'm not thinking anything negative or anything like that. To me, it's life. People are busy moving around. I know for me, sometimes depending on the text it is, if it requires an answer that I have to give thought to, and I'm not in a moment of where I can think and process because I'm handling other things, then I rather wait so I can properly respond and make sure I'm paying attention. Because there have been times where I try to respond quick and I misread the text and turned into some other things. Anyways, the point is, different people have different thresholds for what is deemed okay, appropriate, or a problem. And I think it's good to establish that as early as possible because, again, you'll have some people who jump to very negative conclusions when you're not responding very fast. And so, within the time frame that they deem appropriate. So, to assume that by making them wait will make them miss you, no. And the reality is that missing you is less about being able to text you or when you respond to a text or even a call. Like, listen, people can talk on a regular basis and still miss each other because they're not getting to see each other. Missing is usually about being in each other's presence. Okay. So playing any kind of games with phones when it comes to response times and things of that nature, that usually makes things more difficult and creates, again, insecurities and issues in the situation. And it's not that I feel that it should be making people feel insecure because you take a few hours to respond, but it does happen like that. Or you'll have some people who feel like if you can go 24 hours without speaking to them or texting them, oh, it's a wrap. Forget about it. They're like, you're not serious, you're playing games, whatever the case may be. Again, some may not be that strict. Talk about it, but do not play games with the phone. Now, with that said, if you're thinking, oh, okay, well, then since it's more about being in each other's presence, I'll make him miss me by not being in his presence more. Listen, don't do things that aren't genuinely who you are. So, even going back to this phone thing for a second, one of the things that I never liked about playing games with the whole was how you respond and things of that nature, or even how often you talk on the phone, is that let's just say as a woman, you are someone who values consistent, constant communication. And you love to talk on the phone daily for a decent amount of time. Okay. But because you're playing this game initially, right, and want to make him miss you and all this different stuff, you try to play it real cool with the conversations. You're not reaching out, you're waiting for him, you're not quick to respond, all this stuff. But you are conditioning him to a version of you that does not exist, right? That's not the real you. And so in some cases, you may derail and sabotage the situation if he was a man who valued communication just as much as you do. Or on the other hand, you might actually trick a man who wasn't trying to be serious about you into thinking you're cool with his lack of seriousness. Because if he's not engaging or taking as much initiative in conversation, and you're taking this very laid back approach, he may assume, okay, she's cool with that. She's not expecting me to call her every day or whatever the case may be. And let's say he actually then gets with you in a relationship thinking he is not required to communicate more consistently. Well, now we have a problem because the real you will eventually come out, and the real you wants more constant communication. But you sold him on a fake representative. So be careful with that. With all these things that I talked to you about, be true to yourself. That way, he knows what he's getting himself into, and either you two are in alignment with each other or you're not. All right, so before we get to this next one, real quick, I just want to mention to you, take advantage of the opportunity to join my special coaching program. In this program, you will have access to me for a whole year, okay, where you're going to be able to get your personal questions answered. It's like having a dating coach in your pocket, I guess. Like, yeah, it's going to be very helpful. But in addition to that, there's modules where you're going to get to learn about how to heal, how to tap into your feminine energy, how to attract more relationship minded men, how to hear from God more clearly. A lot of very useful tools. So take advantage, go to receivingmyblessings.com or click the link in the description and join today. You are going to love it. Now, with that said, another great little tip that I like personally on how to make a man miss you is using the power of scent. Okay. So I'm one of those people who really believes like smelling good is a very powerful tool. It is something that can raise a person's level of attractiveness, at least a little bit. Like I'm not saying it's going to turn someone who's just not attractive into this hot person, but I think it makes everybody at least a little bit cuter, right? Like a little bit better when they smell good. And so when it comes to this whole topic of how to make a man miss you, I think being consistent with smelling good around him and being consistent with that scent, I think it's more powerful if you find that scent that works for you, right? And that's what you consistently wear around him because now anything that smells like that, even when you're not around, can remind him of you. It can trigger thoughts of you being around and whether consciously or subconsciously cause him to crave you, to be around, to miss you. Okay. Now, with that said, knowing that that scent can trigger, if you really want to be slick about it, leaving something in his house that carries that scent, right, is a nice little fun thing that you can do that can work to your advantage in that way, right? Um, if you guys are even at that stage of the relationship that you're even at his house like that, hanging out, things of that nature. But finding that set that works for you. Now, with that said, though, let me say this. This hit my spirit, so forgive me. I say everything with love. Whenever we talk about smelling good, we want to start from the inside out. Okay. And what I mean by that is be mindful that our health, what we're putting in our body, what you're eating, right, and taking in, contributes to the smell that you can give off. I think, of course, it's great to find whether it's perfume or oils. I would want to lean you more towards oils because for me it's less chemicals, more natural, it's healthier for you, right? But I know some people may have these perfumes that they really like, and that's your choice. But it's like, okay, you can slap all that on, but if your insides are all messed up and give you a stench, and yes, some people do, that's just a reality, it can throw things off. It can throw things in the other direction, right? So be mindful of that. I always try to suggest one thing that you can use is chlorophyll. It's like internal deodorant. Okay, I think that's a great thing to add to your repertoire. But also how you eat. I'm a big believer in eating for your blood type. I think that can be very beneficial for not just issues like this, but again, overall health, reducing inflammation, all these other issues that we get, because sometimes what we don't realize is there are things that we eat that we think are healthy, but they don't agree with our body. All right. And can be causing all kinds of issues. So some people may not believe in the whole eating for your blood type. I say at the very least, look into it, test it out. There are food lists that you can get that will tell you what is not good for you and start paying attention. And again, it can be very beneficial, not just for, again, smell and health, also for your skin, like all kinds of things. So either way, power of scent, great thing to use, definitely can create an environment that causes a man to miss you. All right, so let's keep this going. And another one, this is another one of those that I've seen get suggested to a lot of women that I think actually can do more harm than good. Okay. And so this other tip that they give is to be mysterious. All right. So this is kind of it goes with the whole playing on the whole phone thing and not responding right away and all this kind of stuff. But let's dive deeper into just this mysteriousness. Here's the thing. We have to start with always understanding there are things that we can do that intrigue people and catch the attention of people, yeah, right? And it can elicit certain responses like them missing you. But if it's done from an unhealthy place, it may work for the moment, but it has long-term negative effects. Okay. So, in being mysterious, could it cause a man, some men, because there are some men who, from the jump, you being mysterious is going to be like, you know what? I don't trust this woman. I don't know what's going on with her. I'm not even going to play that game, especially if he's already been played by a woman who came off that same way. On the flip side, you may have some men who, yes, they're intrigued by your mysteriousness and they want to look more into you, right? But that doesn't mean they're actually into you. That doesn't mean they desire you or will start to miss you from a good, healthy place. That's just they're caught up in this moment of figuring you out, maybe even conquering you to some extent. And then once they do, it's a wrap. It's done, right? And what that woman who's found herself in that situation will have to do if she wants to keep it going is to keep playing games. That's the problem. Once you start to engage in these little tips and tricks that are game playing, essentially manipulation to elicit these responses, in order to continue to get these responses, you're going to have to keep doing it, right? That's a problem. It reminds me of how, like, some people will do things on purpose to make their partner jealous. Let's say you allow men to flirt with you to make your partner jealous. There are, again, in that moment, and let's say it's because you feel like he's not showing you enough desire and attention. So yeah, in that moment, he may react to that, and he does that, right? But now, if we haven't gotten to the root of why there's a lack of attention and desire from him, that means you're going to always have to play this jealousy game to get him to respond. At some point, one, that's going to be tiresome for you. Can you really keep that up? And on the other end, chances are it's going to eventually blow up and turn into something very negative. So I think you do yourself a greater favor by rejecting the being mysterious and actually being very transparent. Because transparency creates safety, it creates peace. That's what's going to make someone or a man more drawn to you. It also, in being transparent, it's going to be easier for you to expose if he has genuine intent or not. Because listen, there's a lot of men who, if they're not trying to be serious about you and you are just this open book and you're transparent and all these things, they're gonna be like, oh, you know what? She's doing too much. I don't want to deal with all that. They're looking for something more nonchalant and casual and not as invested, which is why you'll have women say, well, why is it once you open up, these men run? Those men run because those men were not trying to be open with you. They were not trying to have a more emotionally invested relationship with you. They were just trying to keep things on the surface and simple. And once they saw you go that route, they're like, okay, I'm not trying to go there with her. I'm out. So, and though it may suck or it may hurt in that moment, you saved yourself a headache. You just exposed that man. But the guy who welcomes and embraces this transparency and embraces this vulnerability and this level of emotional investment, well, now you know this guy is serious. So, better for you to go that route than the whole mysterious route. And again, you got to understand, tons of men, again, because a lot of women don't hear the stories of what men go through, or they think that when men go through stuff with women, it's because of the man's fault, rather than understanding that there are some women with bad intentions or who do unhealthy things and all this different stuff that creates or contributes to there being damaged men out there. Not saying it's all the women's fault, but that there is that. There are men who were good dudes trying to love a woman, pour into her, all that, and she played them. She played them, left them hanging. Okay, I'll never forget one time, real quick. I was speaking at this big conference, and this man came to me, and he basically he was in medical school and he was about to take his test, or was it law school? It might have been law school. He was about to take the bar exam, and he was engaged, and the woman ended up breaking off the engagement, and it blindsided him. Like, he didn't see it coming. He didn't know there was any problems. This man was in love. He was all about this woman, and it shattered him. And I spoke to him, and I talked to him about trying to heal and guiding him to my book, Love After Heartbreak, and all these things. But it's like, and again, I know in fairness, I didn't get to sit and hear every last detail, but I'm pretty confident in this situation. This was just a really genuinely good dude. Doesn't mean he was perfect. This was a genuinely good dude, and he was heartbroken. And so that kind of man, imagine he meets a woman and she's playing this game of trying to be mysterious on purpose. That's not comfortable. That doesn't put anyone at ease who's genuine about putting their heart out there. So let's leave the mysteriousness alone. Let's embrace more transparency, and that will get you. And the beautiful thing about that is, when you're this transparent woman, again, like I kind of mentioned earlier, a man is gonna miss a woman like that, because it's like, man, with her, I don't have to try to sit here and figure things out and guess. She's real with me. She lets me know what's up. That's awesome. That's what a lot of men desire and crave. So that will do way more good for you. All right. So remember, I said I wanted you to wait to the end because I had a very specific point I wanted to make that kind of takes care of all of this when it comes to wanting someone to miss you, desire you, all these things. And that is, be with someone you have a genuine connection with. That's it. Like, at the end of the day, we do all these different things a lot of times because what we're not accepting is that there isn't that deeper thing there that needs to be in place for us to have this relationship that just clicks and just flows in a way that the things that we desire out of it come without any effort. When I say come without any effort, it's not us having to, it's just a natural thing. It's effortless because it flows so naturally. And that's what happens with people who have a connection. When there's a connection there, in the natural flow of it, you both will miss each other, right? Even when you spend tons of time together, you'll still miss them when you're apart from them, right? You're naturally going to be drawn to them. You're naturally going to be able to find that harmony and do all these things. And to me, connection is like the biggest foundational piece that from there, everything else can be worked out, right? The communication will be better. The understanding will be better. The willingness to work through any mistakes, misunderstandings will be better, and so on and so forth. So to me, it's like, rather than trying to, because for some, you're trying to make a man miss you who doesn't deserve to be your man, who is not best for you, who cannot go where God wants to take you. Okay? And vice versa, right? So let's not focus so much on who we're trying to get to react a certain kind of way, and let's focus more on being able to receive the person that we are truly in alignment with and we have a genuine connection with, and that all the things that we desire can come, and God can bless that relationship. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on 5 unfortunate ways a woman can self-sabotage her relationship. Unfortunately, though, it's very normal to share the bad and not the good. Because when you're happy and things are good, well, you just